Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. This is your Bible Big Brother Christian. We are going through the ESV Study Bible in a year. Um, we have been doing some great work here so far. This is another rendition of our slow trek through the ESV Study Bible. Um, but we've been having a lot of fun, and I think we're gonna have some more fun today. Before I get started on our recap and then setting us up for where we're going to go, I do want to say I'm going to add a resource to the description of this video from a content creator called Disciple Dojo. I was supposed to look up his name, his actual name, uh, before getting on here, but I forgot to do so. But This is a faithful brother that I've been following for a while online, and he does some great work at trying to um, take biblical scholarship and really boil it down for the common layperson. Yeah, so but the resource that I'm going to put in the description from him is he has a 20 part playlist. Videos range from anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes. And for those of you who are listening to this content, you know, that's some reeks, with the length of the videos that I put out. Um, but Yeah, so the playlist there, the Bible for the rest of us, and he really goes through a lot of the stuff that I have talked about before, about what the Bible is, how to look at it. Talks about translation issues. Does a much better job than I did when I tried to talk about it earlier this year. And so I just wanted to put that out there for everyone. To go and take a look at that. I think that's a great resource there. There are, I would say probably only one major thing that he and I disagree with. He discusses the debate around female pastors or women preaching, and he and I fall on opposite sides of that issue. But he does make a compelling case, but we differ, and he brings that up. He helps uh, I think he does a great job at showing why faithful Christians might differ on certain things, and why that is okay at times for Christians to disagree, but disagree well, and try to help to advance towards the truth, trying to figure out exactly, um, what God has meant for us to know and to apply to our lives. So wanted to add that to the lexicon. I think I'm using that word correctly. But this is have it as a resource for you guys to help you to understand the Bible just a little bit better. Okay. All right. Well, today we are going to be going through Genesis chapter 42 to 44. We'll read that, and then we'll go through the ESV Study Bible notes, and then we will read the verses on the history of salvation through the Old Testament. But before we get to our text today, we'll recap where we've been. So far, we have gone through a lot of the book of Genesis. We've gone through the first 80% of the book, from chapters 1 to 41. We started off looking at the creation week, and then a magnified view of what happened on day 6 as God created man and woman, placed them in the Garden of Eden. But then there was a fall. And then from there, God cursed the serpent, the woman, and the man. But as he was pronouncing his cursing, he did provide a sliver of hope by saying that from the woman would come an offspring who would crush the head of the serpent, but the serpent would bite his heel. Uh, and so we've been looking for uh, who this offspring might be, who would reverse the curse and set things back right. Um, and so we've gone through, a few different offspring to try to see, hey, is this the one? Right? It was not Cain, it was not Abel, it was not Seth. Um, Going down the genealogical lines, we got to Noah. He seemed like a good figure that maybe he could have been it. He did um, reverse the curse in a sense, but really his part was uh, uh, working with God to do a recreation, right? Kind of start things back over. Um, but there wasn't a full reversal. Um, and so with that, we started looking at his sons. Um, and none of them were the expected offspring. We went down their genealogical lines, and then we headed down the genealogical line of Shem, and we got to a man named Abram, and he seemed to be very promising. Had a solid relationship with the Lord. The Lord spoke to him, and he listened to him, and the Lord started making these covenants, these um, uh, kind of these contracts with him, and made promises with him about what he would do through his line. And so things like he would have many descendants, and from him would come kings and nations, but also too that it would make him a great name. But from him uh, would all the descendants of the earth, with all the world, be blessed through him and through his descendants. And so we were looking at him, but we're looking, hey, maybe there is a descendant from him that would make all this work. And so we started looking at his two sons, Ishmael and Isaac, and we saw that Isaac was the child of promise, while Ishmael was just the child of natural birth. And so, in looking at Isaac, he looked promising, but had his own moments of failure, and which led us to believe that, hey, he is not the one. But Isaac himself also had two sons, Esau and Jacob. And from the beginning, we started to look at Jacob because he was the younger. Um, and culturally, that's kind of surprising because often we look at the older. However, we began to look at the younger because God told Rebecca, Isaac's wife, that the older would serve the younger. And so we began to look at the younger. But quickly we found that he was not the one. He was a deceptive young man. But however, even with his deception, there seemed to be a relationship that God had with him and that God wanted with him. And so we saw a different time for God pursued him. And despite some of the actions of Jacob, we saw God protect him and move forward the story because God also promised and covenanted with Jacob the same promises that he made to Abraham, that from him many people, many descendants will come, and also from him descendants will come that would be a blessing to the whole world. And from there, we saw that he had 13 children, but there seemed to be a particular highlighting of his second to youngest child, Joseph. We quickly find that Joseph is a righteous young man, and he cares about righteousness, um, so much so that he's not afraid to tell on his brothers. But also, too, God seems to be communicating to him through dreams, and he tells these dreams to his brothers and his father. His brothers um, already are jealous of him because of his father's particular love towards him. But from that hatred, they decide to sell him into slavery. And though we think that Joseph might be the one that we have been waiting on, um, there seems to be, things not going too well for him. Even though God is with him, he continues to deal with repeated injustices against him. Where he is sold into slavery by his brothers. And then from there, God is with him. God elevates him into the house of his master, to his master that he's sold into, puts him in charge of all of his household. But then his master's wife falsely accuses him of sexual assault. And so because of that, he is thrown into prison. And though he's thrown into prison unjustly, God is with him there. And he rises to where the head guard decides to pretty much let Joseph run the prison because he is being so blessed by God. While he is there in prison, we find out that he is so interconnected with God that he is able to provide interpretations of dreams, even though he says that he does not interpret the dreams, but that God does. He at least has enough of a relationship with God that he is able to relay God's interpretation of dreams. And so there are two fellow inmates in there that he has a relationship with. A baker and a cupbearer from Pharaoh's court, and they are in there with him, and they have dreams, and they are startled by their dreams. And Joseph is able to tell them their dreams and able to interpret them accurately. And things go well for the cupbearer, but things do not go so well for the baker. From this, the cupbearer remembers that well, first he forgets that about Joseph while he's in prison there. Once he gets back to the palace, but 2 years later, when Pharaoh himself is having issues with the dream, he finally remembers Joseph, and so Pharaoh brings Joseph in to give the interpretation of his dream. Because the musicians and wise men of his court are not able to do so. And so Joseph again acknowledges God, that God is the one who gives the interpretations. And he's able to interpret the dreams of Pharaoh. And he says that there will be 7 years of plenty. And then immediately following the 7 years of plenty, there will be 7 years of famine. And because of this, Joseph comes up with a scheme. That Pharaoh should, during the 7 years of plenty, should store 20% of the grain that they received during the 7 years of plenty in order to have something for the 7 years of famine. And in doing so, in given this interpretation and the application of what should come next, Pharaoh ends up raising Joseph to the vizier, the second in command in all of Egypt. And so from this, he gives him a wife, and from his wife, they end up having 2 sons, and then from there, we get past the 7 years of plenty, and now we're currently in the 7 years of famine. And because of all the grain that was stored up, um, uh, Egyptians and others from across the known world at the time come to Egypt to buy food. And so we are waiting with expectation to see if his family from back home would come and purchase food from him as well. And that sets us up for today as we read Genesis chapter 42 to 44. All right. All right. Genesis 42 to 44. When Jacob learned that there was grain for sale in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you look at one another?" And he said, "Behold, I have heard that there is grain for sale in Egypt. Go down and buy grain for us there, so that we may live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with his brothers, for he feared that harm might happen to him. Thus the sons of Israel came to buy among the others who came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. Now, Joseph was governor over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the ground. Joseph saw his brothers recognized them, but he treated them like strangers and spoke roughly to them. "Where do you come from?" he said. They said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." And Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. And Joseph remembered the dreams that he had dreamed of them. And he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land." They said to him, "No, my lord, your servants have come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. We are honest men. Your servants have never been spies." And he said to them, "No, it is the nakedness of the land that you have come to see." And they said, We, your servants, are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is no more. But Joseph said to them, "It is as I said to you, you are spies. By this you shall be tested. By the life of Pharaoh, you shall not go from this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and let him bring your brother while you remain confined, that your words may be tested, whether there is truth in you. Or else, by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies." And he put them all together in custody for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph said to them, "Do this and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers remain confined where you are in custody, and let the rest go and carry grain for the famine of your households, and bring your youngest brother to me. So your words will be verified, and you shall not die." And they did so. Then they said to one another, "In truth, we are guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the distress of his soul when he begged us, and we did not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us." And Reuben answered them, "Did I not tell you not to sin against the boy? But you did not listen. So now there comes a reckoning for his blood." They did not know that Joseph understood them, for there was an interpreter between them. Then he turned away from them and wept. And he returned to them and spoke to them. And he took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. And Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain and to replace every man's money in his sack, and to give them provisions for the journey. This was done for them. Then they loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed. And as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his money in the mouth of his sack. He said to his brothers, "My money has been put back. Here it is in the mouth of my sack." At this, their hearts failed them, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they came to Jacob, their father, in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them, saying, the man, the Lord of the land, spoke roughly to us and took us to be spies of the land. But we said to him, we are honest men. We have never been spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. Then the man, the Lord of the land, said to us, by this I shall know that you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me, and take grain for the famine of your households, and go your way. Bring your youngest brother to me. Then I shall know that you are not spies, but honest men, and I will deliver your brother to you, and you shall trade in the land. As they emptied their sacks, behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob, their father, said to them, you have bereaved me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. And now you would take Benjamin? All this has come against me. And then Reuben said to his father, kill my two sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I will bring him back to you. But he said, my son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead. He is the only one left. If harm should happen to him on the journey that you are to make, you would bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to Sheol. Now the famine was severe in the land, and when they had eaten the grain that they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, go again, buy us a little food. But Judah said to him, the man solemnly warned us, saying, you shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, you shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. Israel said, why did you treat me so badly as to tell the man that you had another brother? They replied, the man questioned us carefully about ourselves and our kindred, saying, is your father still alive? Do you have another brother? What we told him was an answer to these questions. Could we in any way know that he would say, bring your brother down? And Judah said to Israel, his father, send the boy with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, but we and you and also our little ones. I will be a pledge of his safety, for from my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. If we had not delayed, we would now have returned twice. Then their father Israel said to them, if it must be, then do this. Take some of the choice fruits of the land in your bags and carry a present down to the man, a little balm and a little honey, gum, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take double the money with you. Carry back with you the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take also your brother and arise. Go again to the man. May God Almighty grant you mercy before the man, and may he send back your other brother and Benjamin. And as for me, if I am bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. So the men took this present, and they took double the money with them and Benjamin. They arose and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, bring the men in the house and slaughter an animal and make ready for the men are to dine with me at noon. The man did as Joseph told him and brought the men to Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house. And they said, it is because of the money which was replaced in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, so that he may assault us and fall upon us to make us servants and seize our donkeys. So they went up to the steward of Joseph's house and spoke with him at the door of the house and said, oh, my Lord, we came down the first time to buy food. And when we came to the lodging place, we opened our sacks, and there was each man's money in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight. So we have brought it again with us. and we have brought other money down with us to buy food. We do not know who put our money in our sacks. He replied, Peace to you. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has put treasure in your sacks for you. I received your money. Then he brought Simeon out to them. And when the man had brought the men into Joseph's house and given them water, and they had washed their feet, and when he had given their donkeys fodder, they prepared to present. They prepared the present for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. When Joseph came home, they brought into the house to him the present that he had with them, and bowed down to him. And bowed to him to the ground. And he inquired about their welfare and said, Is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke? Is he still alive? They said, Your servant, our father, is well. He is still alive. And they bowed their heads and prostrated themselves. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your youngest brother, of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son. And then Joseph hurried out, for his compassion grew warm for his brother, and he sought a place to weep. And he entered his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out. And controlling himself, he said, Serve the food. They served him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at one another in amazement. Portions were taken to them from Joseph's table, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. And they drank and were merry with him. Then he commanded the steward of his house, Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack, and put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, with his money for the grain. And he did as Joseph told him. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away with their donkeys. They had gone only a short distance from the city. Now Joseph said to his steward, Up, follow after the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, Why have you repaid evil for good? Is it not from this that my Lord drinks, and by this that he practices divination? Have you done evil in doing this? You have done evil in doing this. When he overtook them, he spoke to them these words. They said to him, Why does my Lord speak such words as these? Far be it from your servants to do such a thing. Behold, the money that we found in the mouths of our sacks, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan. How then could we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? Whichever of your servants is found with it shall die, and we also will be my Lord's servants. He said, Let it be as you say. He who is found with it shall be my servant, and the rest of you shall be innocent. Then each man quickly lowered his sack to the ground, and each man opened his sack, and he searched, beginning with the eldest and ending with the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and every man loaded his donkey, and they returned to the city. When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, he was still there. They fell before him to the ground. Joseph said to them, What deed is this that you have done? Do you not know that a man like me can indeed practice divination? And Judah said, What shall we say to my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how can we clear ourselves? God has found out the guilt of your servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also, in whose hand the cup has been found. But he said, Far be it from me that I should do so. Only the man in whose hand the cup was found shall be my servant. But as for you, go up in peace to your father. Then Judah went up to him and said, Oh, my Lord, please let your servant speak a word in my Lord's ears. and let not your anger burn against your servant, for you are like Pharaoh himself. My Lord asked his servants, saying, have you a father or a brother? And we said to my Lord, we have a father, an old man, and a younger brother, the child of his old age. His brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him. Then you said to your servants, bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes on him. We said to my Lord, the boy cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. Then you said to your servants, unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you shall not see my face again. When we went back to your servant, my father, we told him the words of my Lord. And when our father said, go again, buy us a little food, we said, we cannot go down. If our youngest brother goes with us, then we will go down. For we cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. Then your servant, my father, said to us, you know that my wife bore me 2 sons, one left me. And I said, surely he has been torn to pieces, and I have never seen him since. If you take this one also from me, and harm happens to him, you will bring down my gray hairs to evil, and evil to Sheol. Now, therefore, as soon as I come to your servant, my father, and the boy is not with us, as his life is bound up in the boy's life, as soon as he sees that the boy is not with us, he will die. And your servants will bring down the gray hairs of your servant, our father, with sorrow to Sheol. For your servant became a pledge of safety for the boy to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father all my life. Now, therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the boy, as a servant to my Lord, and let the boy go back with his brothers. For how can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? I fear to see the evil that would find my father. This is the word of the Lord. All right, let's get to the notes. All right, chapter 42, verses 1 to 38. The brothers' first journey to Egypt. Shortage of food in Canaan forces Jacob to send his brothers to Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's younger brother, remains at home, for Jacob fears losing him too. When Joseph finally encounters his brothers again, he deliberately conceals his identity after accusing them of being spies. He holds Simeon hostage, sending the others back to Canaan on the understanding that they will return with Benjamin. Naturally, Jacob is very reluctant to permit this. All right. This sets the stage. So we were expecting, hey, maybe since all the earth is coming to Joseph, right, to buy food, maybe his family would come back. And so we don't get his entire family, but we do get 10 of his brothers, 10 of his 11 brothers, right? Chapter 42, verses 6 to 9. About 20 years have passed since his brothers last saw Joseph at age 17. All right, and we saw that on the chart on page 114. While Joseph recognizes them, not surprisingly, they remain oblivious to the true identity of the Egyptian governor, who questions them regarding their motive for visiting Egypt. Bow themselves before him. Verse 6. The brothers' obeisance, that's the word. The brothers' obeisance is clearly interpreted by Joseph as fulfilling his earlier dreams. Right? He sees this and is like, oh, hey, this is what was in the dream. Oh, okay. Wow, it's all coming full circle. Chapter 37, 5 to 11. The narrator underlines this by observing that Joseph remembered the dreams. Chapter 42, verse 9. Speaking through an interpreter, verse 23, and without disclosing his true identity, Joseph accuses his brothers of being spies who have come to assess Egyptian defenses against invasions. The nakedness of the land, verse 9. an idiom that alludes to the locations where Egypt would be most vulnerable to attack. Okay, so yeah, it's so we've seen this motif of garments preventing the disclosure of identity, right? So we saw this first as Jacob was deceiving his father Isaac. He and his mother colluded to conceive against his he and his mother colluded to deceive their father Isaac, um, and stole the blessing of Esau. Right, Isaac was unable to. I mean, his he was already pretty much blind at the time, but he was unable to detect that it was Jacob because of the garments that he was wearing. Right. Later, we see that Judah is unable to detect Tamar because she veiled her face. She veiled her face in preparation of a wedding for his youngest son, Sheila. But because he did not rightfully give her his youngest son, Sheila, in levirate marriage, she then posted herself up by the road as prostitutes did in that day, and concealed her identity there. And Judah did not recognize that it was Tamar. So her identity was concealed there. Right now, here Joseph's identity is concealed because of the garments that he's wearing now. He is wearing the Egyptian garments that were given to him by Pharaoh. Now his face is not covered, and his brothers can clearly see him, right? But because of all the pomp and circumstance, where he is, I mean, their minds could not even fathom. Right? They thought that their brother was done, sold into slavery, probably dead by now, and so it doesn't even cross their mind that, oh, this could be their brother, right? Plus, it's been about 20 years since they've seen him, right? So all of that obfuscates his identity, but he clearly notices them, right? And so this is our third iteration of the same motif here, where garments are concealing the identity of one party from another. Right? So again, making certain connections, right? And so so we had kind of like an ABC deal, right? A we have A, the first concealing by identity by garment, and then B, we have another one not quite like A but very similar, and then we have C, not quite like B or A, but quite similar, right? And so, but the thing is, at the end of the previous episodes, right, there was a kind of a making right at the end of the episode, okay, where at the first episode with Jacob and Isaac, the making right was the fulfillment of what God had told Rebekah, right? And it seems like Rebekah and Isaac were not on the same page as far as the older serving the younger of what God had told Rebekah. And so he was getting ready to bless Esau with his brothers serving him. But at the end of the concealment of Jacob's identity, right, the what was said at the beginning of that story is now is made happen at the end of this concealment, right? With Judah and Tamar's concealment, right? She was supposed to be given children through or given a son through the levirate marriage because her husband, Judah's firstborn son, um, died. And so Onan, Judah's secondborn, was supposed to give her a son through levirate marriage, and he did not. And so he died as well. And so her concealment sets back right um, what was supposed to be done before. All right. And so here, the question is, hey, what is going to be set back right after this concealment? Right. So Joseph, his identity is concealed, from beneath his garments and all the pomp and circumstance. But now what's going to be set back right? Okay. And we haven't even read it far enough to see anything set back right. Right. Things are kind of fallen more from what we read. So maybe tomorrow we might see something set back right. Right. That might be the conclusion here of the motif that is being played out. Chapter 42, verses 10 and 17. In their attempt to deny the charge of being spies, which is issued 3 times, verse 9, 12, and 14, Joseph's brothers mention that their younger brother is this day with our father, verse 13. Oh, too much. Sorry, I'm about to trying to pull this thing up here. Here we go. Okay. Seizing on this reference to Benjamin, Joseph demands that the brothers prove their trustworthiness by sending for their brother, verse 16. Then, by way of demonstrating his authority over them, Joseph has placed them in custody for 3 days, verse 17. All right. So, and then in this whole deal, we had the discussion of wise man yesterday, with the back and forth between Pharaoh and Joseph in chapter 41. But here, Joseph is displaying his wisdom and his bright nature, quick wittiness, I guess we could say, because he's able to think on his feet and come up with this elaborate scheme on the fly, and kind of gets exactly what he wants, and his brothers are none the wiser to it. Chapter 42, verses 18 and 26. By way of concession, motivated by his fear of God, verse 18, Joseph permits all his brothers to return to Canaan, apart from Simeon, verse 19. Right, and this is very interesting, right? Because he says, let's see. So before, when they first come, let's see, I'm trying to. All right, let me go back. Let me go back to read it. Give me 1 second. Here. All right. So let's go back up and see this. All right. All right. So at first he says, "You shall not go from this place unless your youngest brother comes here." Right? Hey, y'all can't leave unless your brother comes here. Send one of you, right? Only one of y'all go, then let your brother come, right? So one go, everybody else stays, then your brother comes, right? And then once your brother comes, then I'll let all of you go. Right. After a few days, on the third day, Joseph said to them, do this and you will live, for I fear God. Right. Hey, by my fear of God, I have, you know, changed my mind a little bit. Right. I'll be a little more merciful. Right. Instead of one going and the rest of you staying, one stays and the rest of you goes, and then bring your brother back. Right. So it's like, hey, instead of keeping, so 10 of you come, instead of me keeping 9 and only one going, I'll keep 1. 9 of you go. Okay. So he, starts to show them mercy. Right. Now, again, we're talking about Joseph's wisdom in this thing. Right. This could have just been a negotiating tactic. Right. Could have been playing a little art of the deal. Right. Hey, let me, ask for a bunch. Right. And then get them to settle on what I'm really after. Right. So he could have been playing that. But he couches it under, for I fear God. Right. So, hey, because of my fear of God, I'm going to do this kindness to you guys. Right. So, yeah, they're there. All right. In Joseph's hearing, the brothers interpret their present dilemma as a punishment for their heartless treatment of Joseph in the past, verses 21 to 23. Now, I don't know why this, 20 years later, this comes up in their mind like, oh man, this is why this happened, right? Maybe at no point over the last 20 years did they experience any catastrophe where things, that way it was brought up in their mind that, oh man, hey, what we did to Joseph is coming back on us, right? So maybe something did, it's just not in the narrative. But hey, for whatever reason, right now they are thinking, oh man, here we go, right? All this bad stuff is happening to us now, and it's because of how we treated our brother before. And so, they, their sin comes to their remembrance. Their words so moved Joseph that he withdraws from their presence to weep. Right? Joseph hears this is like, oh snap, they remember. Not only they remember, they they remember and they feel bad about it now. Maybe just the consequences are coming up, but hey, they, there's some conscience amongst these guys now. Okay. Upon his return, Joseph sends away all his brothers except Simeon, having instructed his servant to replace every man's money in his sack. Right now, if we remember, right, the birth order. Okay, so Reuben is born first. Let's go back to. I think 29. All right. So yeah, the end of Genesis 29. All right. Leah conceives and bears a son. She calls him Reuben. Reuben is the firstborn. Right. Then she conceived again and bore a son, and it named him Simeon. Okay. Then after that, the third one is Levi, and then after that, Judah. Okay. Now, these 4 have been very significant throughout the story. Right. Now, the other 6 in between Joseph and Benjamin, right? I think all their names have been named only once so far in the story. But we've had an episode with Reuben where he slept with Jacob's concubine, right? He's been trying to get back into his father's good graces after his father was mad at him. We talked about Judah and Tamar earlier, right? We've had our interactions with Judah, and also to him, he's the one who came up with the idea of instead of killing him to sell him into slavery, right? And then Simeon and Levi, if you remember the episode with Dinah, they were the ones that went to let's confirm and slaughter all the men of Shechem. Yeah. All right. On the third day, when they were sore, two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and came against the city while it felt secure and killed all the males. Right. So we've seen these four, so there's something significant happening with these four, right? The Joseph's oldest boys, right? Where they are, either doing the most or now towards the back end of the story, we see Reuben and Judah trying to kind of take responsibility for things, right? And then we also see Simeon. He is, we don't know if he volunteered or for what reason why, but he's the one that stayed back with Joseph. So so we repeatedly see these four where the other brothers. All right, so let's see. Zebulun. All right. All right. So far up to the story, we got Zebulun's name once, when at his birth, and then in the genealogy when he talked about which sons were whose, right? Issachar, all right, as well up to same thing with Issachar up to this point. All right, Issachar, Dan. All right. There was talk about the city of Dan before, but since his birth, same thing. Dan, Naphtali. Naphtali, same thing. All right, so yeah. Dan, Naphtali, Zebulun, Issachar. I think another one's Gad. All right, Gad and Asher, same thing, right? So we don't hear much from them, right? So all of them were, hey, we get their names when they're first born, and then the next time we hear of them, they're in a list of genealogy, right? But as far as within the narrative, we don't hear anything from them again, right? They're just counted amongst the brothers, right? But with Reuben, Simeon, Levi, even Levi, we've heard him once, right? Once more, right? So with Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, we've had multiple interactions with them as far as the narrative is concerned. Obviously, with Joseph, this whole portion of scripture from chapter 37 on has pretty much been about him. And then we've had focus on Benjamin once he was born, and then now within the narrative, right? So that middle six, though, very little of them, right? But the first four and these last two, we've had a lot of discussion within the narrative. with these particular individuals. Okay. All right. Upon his return, Joseph sends away all his brothers except Simeon, having instructed his servant to replace every man's money in his sack. Verse 25. Chapter 42, verses 27 to 28. Later, when they stop for the night, one of the brothers discovers that his money has been replaced in the mouth of his sack. Verse 27. This apparently inexplicable occurrence evokes considerable apprehension. All right. And I think here, let's look up here. 27. And one of them, again, one of them. Which one? Was it Reuben? Was it Judah? Was it Levi? All right. So, based upon what we just looked at, we're not seeing, that the middle six brothers. We have to think it must have been one of them, right? Because the story has had no problem naming Reuben or naming Judah, right, or naming Levi, right? But the other middle six, they've just been a part of the group, right? Very little to know, pulling them out and naming them specifically. This, all right, yeah. Evokes considerable apprehension. The brothers interpret it as something that God has done. Verse 28. I mean, the gall, goodness. As I was reading it, my blood pressure went up as I was reading it. Something that God has done? Well, I tell you. With the intention of bringing further harm to them, right? Now, if you want to be theologically accurate, sure. Right, we talked before about God's sovereignty and God's providence, right? Let's see how they say it. Verse 28. He said to his brothers, "My money has been put back in my sack. Here it is, in the mouth of my sack." And at this, their hearts failed, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, "What is this that God has done to us?" All right. Something that God has done. Now, there could be, this double entendre, where, and this wordplay from the narrator, right? Because we've had this idea of God's sovereignty. So, sure, yes, God is in control of everything, and so in a technical sense, yes, God has done this. But are we so sure that they are, trying to be theologically astute at this moment, right? But the double entendre comes in the fact that maybe this is, and we've seen before, where the narrator sets up different characters to kind of be in the position of God compared to other characters, right? Or to act as God compared to other characters, right? And in this sense, Joseph is doing that, right? Joseph is acting as God towards them, right? So it is not God per se that has done this, but the one who is standing in as God towards them. He has done this. And so, so we could have that happening there, right? But for even though they take responsibility for what they did to Joseph earlier, right? I'm not sure if this line, it's supposed to bring sympathy towards them or it's supposed to make us mad, but made me mad. Got my blood boiling a little bit. All right, running through this section of the story is the idea that those who perpetrate evil cannot evade punishment forever. Correct. The brothers' consciences clearly trouble them, right? Hey, we might have gotten away with it, right? But the day to repay will come. The day to repay will come. Okay. Chapter 42, verse 35. The unexpected discovery of every man's bundle of money in his sack naturally fills the brothers and their father with fear. The extraordinary event would make others think that they have taken the grain from Egypt without paying for it, or even that they had sold Simeon for cash. Oh man, I didn't even think about that, right? Because from Jacob's point of view, all he knows is, hey, I sent 10 down, 9 came back, and 9 came back with the money that I sent with them to get some food. So I sent 10 down. I expected 10 to come back with food and no money. Now I got 9 that came back with food and money. Did y'all sell the other one? Right? And from this side of of the story, hey, they've done this before where they've sold a brother. They've come back. They've gone out before and come back with one less brother and with money. All right. And here we go again. They come back with one less brother, but come back with money. All right. Last time, I'm sure he didn't see the money. All right. At least in the narrative, we didn't see that. But here he sees the money, and oh man, it's like, oh man, what's happening, right? So he has to see, like, hey, what's up with their story. All right, chapter 42, verses 36 to 38. In light of all that has happened, Jacob is reluctant to go down to Egypt, being exceptionally anxious about the possibility of losing Benjamin. Verse 36. Reuben's response does little to reassure his father. Verse 37. Jacob is unlikely to entrust Benjamin to someone who cares so little for the lives of his own sons. Jacob emphatically states, my son shall not go down with you. Man. Aren't you starting to feel a little bit for Reuben? Aren't you starting to feel a little bit for Reuben? Because Reuben, this is the second time Reuben's trying to take, hey, dad, let me get back in your good graces, dad. Let me do this for you, right? But like Esau, right? Not doing the best job of re-ingratiating himself into the favor of his father, right? So Reuben thinks this might be a great line. Hey, dad, kill my 2 sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands and I will bring him back to you. All right. And this line here, kill my 2 sons. Kill your 2 sons. So you want me to sacrifice my son for the sons that you willing to put up? Nah. If you're not gonna care for your sons, you sure enough ain't gonna care for mine. And nah, I'm not doing that. No. I already don't like you. I already don't trust you. Nope. Wrong answer. My son shall not go down with you. His brother's dead. He's the only one left. Nope. Not happening. He's not going down with you. Okay. So, yeah. So I'm glad the ESV Study Bible, put that note there. All right. That's pretty significant, right? Because we get, I kind of did. I kind of went over that. Reuben suggested it, didn't happen, but reading it back, Jacob is, hey, he's not going down with you. And later, which we've already read, he does allow him to go down with Judah, right? So there's something that he trusts about Judah, right? Or maybe the circumstances is, them needing food again, kind of softens him up a little bit. But he does allow him to go down with Judah. All right. Chapter 42, verse 38. Sheol, see note on 37.5, and which we read a few days ago. Sheol, actually, I'll read it off screen. Let me say. 37, 35. All right. The note says the report of Joseph's death causes Jacob to believe that his grief will continue through the afterlife. Sheol is the proper name for the place where people go after death. Though solid knowledge about the afterlife was lacking at this time. All right. So Jacob made a reference to Sheol. And, so it's like, hey, you're going to bring me, to tears in the afterlife if this happens. Chapter 43, verses 1 and 34. Joseph's brothers return to Egypt. The ongoing famine eventually forces Jacob to send his brothers back to Egypt with Benjamin. When the brothers return, they are unexpectedly invited to dine at Joseph's house. Taken by surprise, they suspect that this may be a ploy to enslave them because of the money in their sacks. The lavish meal prepares the way for Joseph's disclosure of himself to his brothers, which comes in the next chapter. Did we not read? Let me see something. Okay, no. We're good. We're good. We're good. I was like, man, did we not read far enough? So he doesn't reveal himself in chapter 44, which we read. But in the coming chapters, he will reveal himself. All right. Chapter 43, verses 1 and 10. Judah takes the lead in successfully persuading his father to permit the brothers to take Benjamin with them to Egypt. His approach differs markedly from Reuben. See chapter 42, verse 37. First, he repeats in quick succession what the man, that is Joseph, said. All right, hold on. Let me pull this. Let me blow this up a little bit. All right. Emphasizing that he will not see them unless their brother is with them, verses 3 to 5. Second, Judah offers himself as a pledge for the safety of Benjamin, verse 9. He will take full personal responsibility and bear the blame of anything, if anything shall happen to him. Correct. Man, the first time this was illuminated to me was, and I'll try to remember to put this in the description as well, link this. But Pastor Vodi Bakum, God rest his soul, he did a sermon on this section of scripture, and he highlighted the substitutionary actions of Judah and how they are a precursor to the future actions of someone who comes down his line. So, if you are not familiar with the Bible and you're just going through this exercise with us, and this is the first time you're hearing these things, I would say that sermon does have some spoiler alerts. All right, so if you just want to continue going and without any spoiler alerts, then just continue going through the story with us. But if you know the story and you just want more commentary on this section, I highly recommend going to listen to that sermon. Very, very good. Yeah. All right. Let's go back and look at how Judah handles the Benjamin situation versus Reuben. All right. So Jacob, their father, said to them, "You have bereaved me of my children. Joseph is no more. Simeon is no more. And now you would take Benjamin? I mean, come on. I had 12 sons. I'm down to 10 now. You want to take one more? I can't. Every time y'all leave, somebody comes back missing. No, 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 no. We can't do this. Right? Reuben's like, come on, Dad, I got you. Kill my two sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I will bring him back to you. I mean, I wish we could have saw the look on Jacob's face when he said this. My son will not go down with you. Mm-mm. All right. And when I first read it, I read the you as y'all. He will not go down with you all, right? But after looking at the ESV Study Bible notes, and Reuben being the one saying it, I can see him maybe implying you all, but looking at Reuben saying, "My son shall not go down with you, Reuben." All right. All right. Hey, family gets severe. All right. And their father said, "Go down, buy us a little food." But Judah said to them, "The man solemnly warned us, saying, You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you will send your brother with us, if you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you." Israel said, "Why did you treat me so badly as to tell the man that you had a brother?" They replied, so now this is all of them replying, right? About kind of replaying the conversation. Okay. And then Judah speaks up. "Send the boy with me." All right. So, hey, you want to send the boy with us? Send him with me. Right. And it's kind of connected to the conversation with Reuben, right? My son should not go down with you. And Judah here says, "Send the boy with me." If you send him with me, then we will arise and go, that we may live and not die. But both we and you, and also our little ones, right? So, it's check out the way he's setting this up. Hey, if you send the boy with me, right, then we all can go down and we all can live. All right. I will be a pledge of his safety. Me personally. From my hand, you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. If we had not delayed, we would not have returned twice, right? So, himself, his hand, his body, his life on the line. Where Reuben, hey, put my son's lives on the line for your son. What kind of deal is that? What? No. But Judah, hey, put my life on the line for the life of your son. Jacob, all right, we can do this. If it must be so, then do this. It's great stuff, man. You gotta slow down, and savor, savor the smells, the flavors, the colors. Chapter 43, verses 15 and 17. Joseph invites his brothers to dine with him at his house. Chapter 43, verses 30 to 31. His compassion grew warm for his brothers. Drawn to Benjamin after 2 decades of being apart, Joseph swiftly retires to his chamber to weep. Verse 30. After refreshing himself, he returns, and the meal begins. Oh, sorry, I read brothers, but brother. His compassion grew warm for his brother, right? Yeah. So I'm not sure if we know how old Benjamin was when he left. All right. So this 20 years, it's probably, Benjamin, probably very young. Let me see if I can go back to the chart real quick to see if they have that on the chart when Benjamin was born. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't even say on the chart. So who knows how young Benjamin was, right? You know, 10 when he left, 8, 5. Probably very young. Now, 20 years later, strapping young man in the prime of his life, looking at him like, man, look at my brother, my mom's son. Goodness. Good to see you, young fella. Good to see you. Okay. So he has to leave real quick, get himself together, come back. All right, let's eat. Chapter 43, verse 42, verse 32. By himself, Joseph eats apart from his brothers as a means of maintaining his guise, since, as the narrator observes, it was an abomination to the Egyptians to eat with these foreigners, the Hebrews. All right. And we talked about where the term comes from before. But yeah, I didn't. I mean, man, it's good to have these notes here from the ESV Study Bible, right? Because I didn't even put two and two together, right? Hey, even if he wanted to eat with them, right? He's going to uh, mess up his disguise with them if he eats with them, right? Because they all they know him as is this Egyptian in charge. That's all they know him as. But if he were to eat with them, they'd be like, "Whoa, what's going on? Why are you eating with us?" Right? And so he ate by himself. Right? He didn't eat with them or with the other Egyptians. Right? So, um, you know, this could be the narrator also too hinting at, if if the brothers were shrewd, not only would they recognize Jacob, but they will recognize, hey, something's going on. If he's eating by himself, right? He's not eating with the other Egyptians, right? Why might Egyptians not eat with somebody? Well, Egyptians won't eat with someone. Well, they won't eat with Hebrews, right? So maybe this Egyptian is not Egyptian if he's eating by himself, right? So again, we got this double tension going on here, right? Is he who he is? There are clues they're not picked up on, right? All right, here we go. Chapter 43, verses 33 to 34. Joseph's feelings for Benjamin result in his being given portions that are 5 times those his brothers. All right. Now, I can't think right now about anything that's significant about the 5 times portion, right? Like the actual number 5. So, anybody else can think of anything that might have happened within the story that might alert us to, what the 5 times portion might signify or might connect to from an earlier part of the story. Please put it in the comments. But I can't think of anything. All right. And the ESV Study Bible does not note anything significant about the number 5. Right. However, here is another clue that if the brothers were perceptive, that would let them know that, hey, something's going on with this guy, right? He's Egyptian, but he's not eating with the Egyptians. He's not eating with us, but he's not eating with the other Egyptians. He's eating by himself. And then he insists on us bringing our youngest brother Benjamin, and as we eat, we sit in order from oldest to youngest, and Benjamin, you know, the only one of us that is the son of Rachel, he gets 5 times what we get. Something's not like the other. All right. You know, they are none the wiser. Chapter 44, verses 1 to 34. Benjamin is accused of stealing. Still disguising his true identity from his brothers, Joseph sends them away after the meal. But he gives instructions that his silver cup should be placed in the sack of Benjamin in order to accuse him of theft. Right? Hey, Joseph again, 12 steps ahead. 12 steps ahead, not just 2, 12. He's working this thing, man. Later, when the cup is found in Benjamin's sack, the brothers are forced to return and face Joseph once more. When Joseph threatens to hold on to Benjamin, Judah pleads passionately in a long speech that he should become Joseph's slave in place of Benjamin. Judah's actions reveals how much his character has changed from when he proposed selling Joseph into slavery. Oh, come on, somebody. Come on. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together yet. Man. ESV Study Bible coming through, man. Coming through. Yes. Judah, the one who proposed slavery for Joseph, is now proposing to Joseph that he become his slave. Come on now. Character arc. Chapter 44, verses 1 to 2. As in chapter 42, verse 25, Joseph instructs the steward to place each man's money into the mouth of his sack. Additionally, Joseph's silver cup is to be put into Benjamin's sack. Joseph does this with the intention of accusing Benjamin of theft. Chapter 44, verses 3 to 5. My Lord practices divination, verse 5. Since these remarks are set in the context of an elaborate ruse, it is impossible to know whether they should be taken as reflecting something that Joseph actually did. Joseph clearly intends that his brothers should believe that he has powers of supernatural discernment. See verse 15. For further comments on divination, see note on chapter 30, verse 27 to 30. And I think, man, this might, let me look at something. But as I was reading this, right, my mind went back to, oh, what happened? There we go. My mind went back to when Joseph and his family left the house of Laban. Right? Again, this has a lot of the same similarities, right? You have a group of people leave one location, right? And that location, has a man in authority, right? So they leave, right? And they leave with something that belongs to that man, okay? And the thing that they leave with is important to that man, okay? Now, in the first story, right? And as they leave, the thing that is taken, right? There is a large portion of the group that does not realize that they have something of that man. Okay. So when they leave, the only person that knows, we'll say this, there's only one person in the narrative that knows that something is taken and where it is. Right. So in the first story, Rachel is the only one who knows that she took the household gods of Laban. Okay. And as she took the household gods, everybody else, they don't know, right? But within this story, right, Laban's getting ready to go to them right? But God encounters Laban, right? Now we know that Laban is not a God-fearer. Laban does not believe in God. Laban does not believe in Yahweh. He has his other household gods that he believes in. Okay, he is a polytheist, right? And so we get some sort of understanding about the practices of Laban. Um, but divination is brought up there. Yeah. So this is the only time that, yeah, it is these two stories are the only time that the word divination is even brought up, right? So they're supposed to be a connection, right? So Laban, so let's look at chapter 30 and 44. Genesis 30, 40. All right, let me put on the verse numbers because I kind of just want to limit it to the relevant verses. So let's go. Oh, okay. So, okay. So in this situation, all right, this is even before they actually leave. Um, so this is when Joseph is trying to set up his ability to leave, right? But then Laban says to him, "If I found favor in your sight, I have learned by divination that the Lord, right? Remember, this is YHWH, so this is Yahweh, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has blessed me because of you, right? So he learned through divination that God has blessed him because of Joseph, right? So Laban clearly uses divination, right? And then when do they actually leave? Is it? Let's see. 30. Yes, so they leave in the next chapter, right? And it tells about them leaving, right? So yeah, so these two are supposed to be connected up because remember there's no chapter breaks in the original Bible, right? So we just get like just if you think about that as like an episode, right? So let's say this is episode 7, right? And so this is like by the time we're down here with Joseph and his brothers, right? Hey, maybe we're on episode 17, right? And so we're making reference back to the full episode, right? There, right? So what we saw and divination used to by Laban, who's somebody that we know does not fear God, does not believe in God, is a polytheist, right? However, there's acknowledgement of uh, who God is and why he's being blessed, right? That God has blessed him because of Jacob. Okay, where in our story today, right, the idea of divination is brought up. However, um, the entire time, though, we have seen if anybody throughout this entire book of Genesis so far, right, has been somebody that has been a model of someone walking with God, Joseph has been it. We've not seen any moral failings from Joseph, right? We've seen somebody who's been mightily connected with God through thick and thin, right? putting his life on the line for the sake of his relationship with God, right? Um, and so, right, just like Laban was not a worshiper of God, but did utilize divination, right? We get the contrast here where divination is brought up, but nothing tells us that Joseph actually uses it, right? So these are, you get um, mirrored images, right? So where in the mirror, right? If you raise your right hand in the mirror, right, it looks like you're raising your left hand, right? Like if you're looking at somebody, like, oh, okay, that's the left hand, right? So you get the opposite image, right? So Laban, someone who definitely used divination, right, speaks about the Lord, and then Joseph, someone who from our experience definitely is connected with the Lord, right, is only using the idea of divination, right, but not actually practicing it, right, using the idea of divination to maintain the rules, okay. um but then we see where Rachel was the only one that knew about what was taken from the house. Jacob is the only one between him and his brothers that knows um, about the silver cup that's taken. Right. So, and then when it comes to the first story, right, the family does not go back, right, and what is taken remains hidden, right. Um, but in this story, right, we do see them go back. What is taken is revealed, right? So if what is taken is revealed, will something else become revealed? We don't know. We don't know. So yeah. All right. So out of there. All right. Let's go on to the next one. All right. Chapter 44, verses 6 to 10. When the brothers are charged with theft, verse 6, they naturally deny doing anything wrong, verse 7. On the contrary, they appeal to their honesty in bringing back the money found previously in their sacks, verse 8. Confident of their innocence, they propose that anyone found hiding the cup should be put to death, with all of them becoming slaves to the steward. Verse 9. The Hebrew term for servants also denotes slaves. And this probably the implication, and this is probably the implication here. In reply, Joseph's steward adopts a more lenient approach, merely requiring that only the guilty person be enslaved. Verse 10. All right. And I think probably, because of the conversation that we see later in the chapter, right, that person, Joseph Stewart, he is probably instructed that only the guilty person come back enslaved. Yeah, but this also too, this speaks to, hey, these guys are, oblivious to what's happening, right? And in their obliviousness, right, they are, hey, check our stuff, right? Hey, we're innocent. And with that, they put themselves on the line, like, oh, hey, we're in it, but if hey, you can check all our stuff, we don't have it, and here's this great consequence if we do have it. Did they not learn from before? Hey, you didn't know you had money in your bags before until you got back, right? And so now none of you know whether you have a cup in your bag, right? It is not all of you know that none of you took it, but none of you knows if it's in your bag, right? So this sounds very much like Shechem, right? Hey, name your price, right? I'll pay anything, not knowing what the other side knows or is planning to do. Okay. Also very much like Esau, right? Um, hey, here's this high price that I'll pay, for this thing. And so, hey, here's this high price we'll pay, if we're found guilty, but we know we're innocent, right? Well, where the charge is not whether you did something or not. However, you lose if we find a cup among you, right? So the brother's not looking so bright right now, right? Joseph is playing them like a fiddle, as they would say. All right, chapter 44, verses 11 to 13. They tore their clothes, verse 13. Oh, goodness. This was an outward sign of inner anguish and grief, often associated with mourning. Cross-reference chapter 37, verse 29. Correct. Previously in chapter 37, verse 29, Jacob tore his clothes upon learning of Joseph's death. Right? They're mourning now. Oh, man. We'd have messed up. Oh, man. We all gonna die. Goodness. Right? So they're making this connection, right? Jacob tore his clothes at the assumption of Joseph's death, but Joseph didn't die. They're tearing their clothes at the assumption of their own death, right? Or at least the death of Benjamin. Let's see. Let's go back and read it. All right, chapter 11. Then each man quickly lowered his sack to the ground, and each man opened his sack. And he searched, beginning with the eldest and ending with the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and every man loaded his donkey, and they returned to the city. Right? Hey, our lives are over. Right? Yes, because look, in verse 9, they say, whichever of your servants is found with it shall die. And we also be like, oh man, shoot, you know what? I should have read this on the last one. They don't offer themselves. Okay. They offer themselves as slaves. But they offer up the other one, they offer up his life. Oh my goodness. These jabronis. And then the servant says, all right, let it be as you say. You made this man, lie in it. Oh, goodness. Right. But then he lowers it. All right. Hey, you know what? Y'all offered up servantship. All right. Here's what we do. We're gonna lower this down, right? So instead of somebody dying and the rest of y'all being servants, the rest of y'all go free, that person will be the servant, right? Right. So again, this is mirroring what Joseph did earlier, right? Hey, 9 will stay, 1 will go. Hey, you know what now? 9 of y'all go, 1 stay. Here, y'all have offered the life of 1, right? And so it's 11 of them now. So you've offered the life of 1 and 10 slaves. Well, 10 of y'all can be free. We'll just take 1 as a slave. We won't kill him. These jabronis, boy. Goodness gracious. Right? They tear their clothes as if, hey, we gonna die. He gonna die. He gonna be a slave. Oh, man. It's over. Right? So, chapter 44, verse 14 and 17. When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, verse 14, the narrator isolates Judah from his brothers, drawing attention to him, possibly not only because he has become their spokesman, but also anticipating his offer to take Benjamin's place as Joseph's slave. Yeah, he has to speak up now, right? He spoke up before. Hey, Dad, my life for his life. If he don't come back, put it on my tab. I got it. It's on me. Do you not know that a man like me can indeed practice divination? Verse 15. Building on what his steward has said earlier regarding the silver cup. See verse 5. Joseph portrays himself as having the ability to discover secrets hidden from others. This may also be a ploy on Joseph's part in order to elicit information from the brothers. Now that he has created the impression that he can discover knowledge with divine help, his brothers may feel that they can no longer conceal their past actions. For this reason, Judah remarks, God has found out the guilt of your servants. Verse 16. Yeah. Far be it from me that I shall do so. We are my Lord's servant, both we and he also, whose hand the cup has been found. All right. So now, hey, Joseph now is starting to play the art of the deal. Okay. Joseph says, what shall we say, my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how can we clear ourselves? God has found out the guilt of your servants. Right? Now, Judah, sorry, I was saying Joseph earlier. Judah, right, is now playing the art of the deal. Right? Now, this line, God has found out the guilt of your servants, right, could be, just it goes back to, hey, the double entendre, right? The double meaning. Right? Judah could be saying to Joseph, right? Hey, I'm acknowledging that God found us guilty, right? Somebody among us did it. We guilty. We guilty, Judge. We guilty. Okay. So saying that two ways. Found out the guilt of your servants, not servant, right? Your servants, all of us, right? But it's like he's setting up, hey, take us all, right? Knowing that he wants to just get down to, well, take me. Okay. So he's offering them all, right? Already knowing that there's the servants already said, no, we're just gonna take the one. And he's like, hey, you can't have the one. So have all of us. And if there's insistence on the one, which he anticipates, right? See, now he's getting wiser now. Playing a game. So you only want the one? Well, hey, look, if you only want one of us, take me in his place. Right? So, hey, Judah's starting to come through now. Starting to come through, right? Starting to come through. Tamar kind of put him straight. All right, chapter 44, verse 16. Lord's servants, that is slaves. All right. And we talked about before about the ESV's rendering of the Hebrew term for slave. I forgot what it was, but yeah. So if you're just getting with us and trying to figure out why they keep saying servants instead of slave, go back to prep day one to see. We read the preface of the ESV of the introduction to the ESV Study Bible, but the preface for the ESV period, the English Standard Version translation, and why they translate both the Hebrew and the Greek words for slave, why they translate it differently in different contexts. Okay. All right. Finishing up here. All right, chapter 44, verse 18. In this verse, which introduces one of the largest recorded speeches in Genesis, Judah begs Joseph for the opportunity to speak to him in private in order to ask an important favor of him. The tone of his opening words expresses total deference For Judah recognizes that Joseph is like Pharaoh himself. Right? So we've seen before, right, where other people have been put in position as like God, right? So we saw that with Esau and Jacob, right? Or at least where Jacob lowered himself. Hey, I am your slave. You are my Lord. Da da da. Right. So there's a double entendre like Lord, like master, or Lord, like the Lord God. Right. Da da da. Right. So here, Judah places himself on a Joseph and it's like, hey, look, you got a big dog. Hey, you can do everything, right? With a snap of your finger, you can make us all go. You got it. I'm down here, you up there. Okay, setting the stage. Right. I didn't even realize though that he pulled him to the side. Let's see. Let's go. Come on, man. I don't know why this thing freezes up. All right, let's go to chapter 44. Then Judah went up to him and said, "Oh, my Lord, please let your servant speak a word in my Lord's ears, and let not your anger burn against your servant, for you are like Pharaoh himself." Right? Let me highlight you for a second, play. Let me highlight you. Okay. Let's deal, just me and you. All right. All right, Judah, practicing art of the deal here, man. Like it. Judah summarizes for Joseph mainly by quoting what different people said. The process that led to Benjamin's being in Egypt. And doing so, he highlights why his father will be so distraught at not having Benjamin return to him. All right, chapter 44, verse 29, Sheol, we talked about that before. All right, chapter 44, verses 30 to 34. Please let your servant remain instead of the boy. Building on what he has already said, Judah petitions Joseph to let Benjamin return to his father in Canaan in order to prevent him from dying of grief at the loss of a second son. To make this possible, Judah offers to take Benjamin's place and become Joseph's slave, verse 33. For Judah, this would be preferable to witnessing his father's distress if Benjamin remained in Egypt. The selfless attitude of Judah stands in sharp contrast to what he previously displayed when arguing that Joseph should be sold into slavery. All right, see chapter 37, verse 26 to 27. On that occasion, Judah cared little about the impact that this would have on his father. And there's a note about Sheila again. Correct. Man, we have seen Judah grow. Back in chapter 37, when he makes this, hey, let's sell him. Right? How far was Joseph away from hearing this? Did Joseph hear this plot? As Judah stepped up and said, hey, let's sell him. Let them take him off our hands, man. We get paid, get a little green in a pocket, a little silver in a pocket. Right? And, we have our hands. Right? And then we see this downward turn of Judah down to the depths. And then he has this encounter with Tamar, and it's like the light came on. And then ever since we get, growth of Judah up into this highlight where, hey, man, hey, look, listen. I can't stand to see my father's face like that again. I can't do it. Take me instead. Take me. We'll see tomorrow. Right? For those of you looking on the screen, you can already see. But um, we'll see tomorrow how Joseph responds to this, to hearing this. Let's go back to chapter 37 real quick. I want to see if they disclose where Joseph was. Did he hear this conversation? And they took him and threw him into a pit. The pit was empty, there was no water in it. Then they sat down to eat, and looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels bearing gum, balm, myrrh, and myrrh on their way to carry it down to Egypt. Then Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him. All right. So the way they make this sound, they're right next to, they're on top of him saying this. It doesn't say they went away. They took him, threw him into the pit. Pit was empty. They sat down. Saw some traders. Says this as the traders coming by. Hey, here's Joseph. They lifted him up out the pit. Man, I mean, think about all those years, all of those years. How many times Joseph had to replay that in his head? Hearing Judah say, hey, we don't like him. Let's get a little green, man. Let's make a little profit. Sell him off into slavery. How many times that conversation, when he's doing work by himself, when he's in prison at night, how many times over the years he's thought about, man, Judah's big mouth. I'm here because of Judah's big mouth. And then to hear him say, hey, look, take me instead. From suggesting that his brother be in slavery, to now suggesting to save one of his brothers, that he go into slavery. And then for us, how many of us say, hey, I used to be one thing, but now I am something else? There's an old gospel song, "Oh, I know I've been changed," right? I know I've been changed. We have been able to see and witness the change in Judah. Again, I hope this provides you hope. How many of your siblings have you been praying for, that you have known them as lost? Not only known them as lost, known them as someone who has done injustice toward you. And yet you've been praying for them, hoping that the Lord would grip their hearts Does this not provide hope that this is something that God does? God has done it with Judah. Why not your brother? Why not your sibling? Why not your cousin? Why not your friend from back in the day? Lord, you did it with Judah. Why don't you do it for my brother, for my sister, for my friend? They were gone and long, far away off. Lord, will you bring them there? Will you help them to see the wickedness of their ways and turn from their wicked ways toward you? It does wonders for me. I hope it does wonders for you. All right, let's get to our verses in the history of salvation of the Old Testament, preparing the way for Christ. And oh man, I put the wrong. Give me 1 second. I put the wrong page in here. All right. So, okay, here we go. Sorry about that. All right, let's see. All right, so we're at 42, 43, 44 today. So chapter 42, verse 9. God works according to his plan, which was already revealed in Joseph's dream. Chapter 37, verses 5 to 9. God cares for the line of offspring leading to Christ. All right. So God has been protecting this line. Chapter 43, verse 9. Judah offers himself as a substitute, prefiguring the substitution of Christ, the offspring of Judah. Come on now, somebody. Since we've already spoiled it, right? Spoiler alert. All right, man, go listen to that sermon. I think it's called The Rescuer by Vodi Bakum, man. I'm gonna make sure I put that in the description. Oh my goodness, it is so good. It's so good. All right. Chapter 44, verse 33. See note on 43:9. And the note says, I'm gonna just read it from here. Oh, too far. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Oh goodness. Okay, sorry. Okay. Sorry. I'm lost. My bad. Sorry. So 43 verse 9. This is when Judah offers himself as a substitute, and he talks to his father, Judah, or sorry, he talks to his father Jacob, and offers himself as a substitution, right? And then in chapter 44, verse 33, he does the same thing. Okay, and both of those are him prefiguring the substitution of Christ, right? Who is an offspring of Judah. Right? Chapter 44, verse 29. Salvation through Joseph includes not only rescue from famine, but a change of heart in the brothers compared to their earlier envy and violence towards Joseph. The change prefigures the change of heart that Christ works through the Spirit. John chapter 3, verses 3 to 8. like I said before. And I hope going through these verses at the end that shows you that the gospel is preached on every page of the Bible. The more that we dig into the treasures of the Old Testament, the more that we can see that God's been working this thing out. That's why in the New Testament, they could talk about the gospel being preached to Abraham. And we're like, wait, what? Jesus wasn't alive yet. Or was he? Did they have an encounter with him? Did they have an encounter with enough of the message? That God is able to change the heart of individuals and reorient their hearts towards him, which brings forth a tangible change in their life. I pray that this has been beneficial towards you, that it's helped you, that it has encouraged you, and it's helped you to understand the story better, but more importantly, to understand God better. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.